Y'all staring at me going, hey, why isn't the guy talking? Well, I'm talking now. Good morning, nation. July 23rd. Mornings in the lab. Keith, Marty, and our new friend in the lab, John Anderson. Ashley Gross coming up today. We're talking about weaving AI into your life and being more productive. So if you are a home worker, if you work from home, you work hybrid, you work remote, you sit there and you don't go to work. Wait a minute. If you do go to work, listen, you bring AI into your life, you're going to be a lot smarter today. Ashley Gross joining us in a few moments. And in the second hour, Matthew Freed coming in. Make yourself tip. Woo, boy. Got to get the words out of the mouth today. Make yourself fit at home. Yeah. Why don't I just bring in Marty and John because I'm having some trouble speaking here today. John, Marty, welcome to the lab this morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, brother.
Yeah. Marty.
What are you doing today, man?
I don't know. I think I'm distracted by our guest sitting in the lab. I was just trying to process what is Gross, Gross, Smith, Papago, man, or Patagonia, or all that stuff. What's going on, John?
That was a hell of an intro, man.
So,
the upside of that is that everybody truly knows we're live now.
Yes. Well, you see, Marty, John and I grew up in an era where we had long openers. We had like the Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven. You'd listen for like 12 minutes before the first lyrics came. Right? So now I'm having to learn, Marty, there's this Post Malone era where you got to get it all out in 12 seconds. And I'm like, I had my sip of coffee and I had everything ready to say, and then it just didn't come out, Marty. Just didn't come out.
We'll go with that. There's time to make up for it, so
we got lots of time today. Yeah, I'm excited about today's show. We got Ashley joining us to talk AI and weaving that into your life and making yourself a lot more productive. We obviously got the polls coming up today as well. We're going to catch up for the first few moments in the show with myself, John, and Marty. And then in the second hour, guys, we got a second trainer coming in, and Keith's just going to fade into the background and let John and let Marty and let Matt just take over the conversation to help you guys get fit at home. Right. So if you're sitting back and you work this remote hybrid work and if you've tuned into Keith and Marty before, today's the day where you have no excuse. Where you're like, oh, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to take care of myself. I don't have time to be fit. Well, first of all, John, Marty, Ashley's going to.
I just made a post about that yesterday. My apologies for interrupting, brother. It's like the universe is just sending the messages.
It's true, because Ashley's going to come in, Marty, and she's going to teach us all how to save at least 30, 45 minutes of time. She's going to show us a bunch of prompts. She's going to teach us stuff, and you're going to say to yourself, well, hey, I've just gained 30, 45 minutes back into my life today. And then Matt's going to come in second hour, and he's going to say, okay, John, you've just received 45 minutes back into your life. What are you going to do with it? And John's going to say, I'm going to lift. All right?
Time creation. We live in a time where there's not enough time. If there's ever a person that can come along and say, look, I can create time for you, that person has got a line as long as you can see, because we all don't have enough time in our fast-paced worlds as of today.
It's true. So good morning, Enzo. We got you here in the lab. I see you there.
What's up, Enzo?
I need to get this up. Yeah, it's the patented harp sound with the arms in the air signaling the future. Ashley, Enzo's in the future. I'm not sure where you're located. I haven't asked you yet, but Enzo's located in the future. And as we all know, if we need to know future things, Enzo has the answers for you. But Marty, we're going to put our friend John on the stage here for a second. He has no idea because he hasn't figured out the comment section yet, Marty.
Uh-oh.
So Enzo just pipes in and says, morning, how are we? And then Enzo says, Ashley, are you ready for this? Enzo says, whoa, I didn't know how famous this guy was. We got some John Anderson guy here on the show. Instagram was gobsmacked by, we are in the presence of a living legend. Enzo, well, you've been living with me for a couple of months. Are you saying I've been supplanted by another legend? Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. We have the legend John Anderson joining us in the lab. He joined the show yesterday, and Marty, the guy's been in a couple rings in his lifetime. He's been in a couple stages in his lifetime, and he may have lifted up a couple weights, Marty, and put them down.
Very accomplished guy.
Yeah. So we're going to get to know John over the coming days and weeks and so forth. But before we get, as we get into that and bring Ashley into the lab, boys, 24 hours ago, we had our first show together. And I got to tell you, man, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun reflecting on the day, cutting up the content and so forth. And John, how was your first day going home after your first day hanging out in the new boy band?
I was thinking, man, I've been accused of being involved in a lot of stuff, but never a boy band. That one stuck with me. That was good stuff. It was great, man. I'll tell you, there's nothing better than starting off the morning.
Yeah.
I would start off the morning with, my own self-improvement, but now when I get to share self-improvement with the world every morning, it pushes a different button inside me. So I'm excited.
That's exceptional. Marty, how was your day?
I was going to say it gives you some hope, lets you know that there's some people with some sense out there,
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of time. We just keep pumping them with positivity. And little by little, it's like everybody's mind is a garden. There's the weeds and the flowers. And if you put too much time to the weeds, you get a garden of weeds. You put the attention to the flowers, you get a garden with flowers. What we're doing is we're feeding the flowers, my brothers.
I love that. Marty, how was your day yesterday, pal? You wrapped up, and I know we were supposed to catch up yesterday, but you know what? Because you were here last week, I'm just going to put it on the air for everybody. Marty and Keith spent so much time last week together. I got behind on some stuff.
My bad, man.
And
I thought you were sick of me, man. A lot of people get sick of me, so I thought you joined the club.
Oh, bro, Marty, we're cut from the same cloth. I always say to all my best friends, I'm a better friend from a little bit of a distance.
Yeah.
Not that I'm loyal, I'm trustworthy, but I'm go. And, I just wear people out sometimes. There's no off switch.
I'm not sure where the name. I didn't drop the word friend, John. You said friend. I don't know where the word friend came in this conversation.
That was an assumption on my part. You know that same.
Marty was here last week, just stealing time from Uncle Bilous over here.
Whoa.
So yesterday we were supposed to meet yesterday. I was like, and I saw the calendar coming up, and I was like, John, I'm running from the door. I'm like, no, Marty, don't come to my door, man. I got to get my stuff done. So
well, you know what, Keith? I got to get you though, because you texted me as I'm walking in the house. I could have been doing something else with my life. You text me as I'm walking in the house to meet with you, and it's like, I will. I'm like, dang, Keith, I could have.
You know what? You're right. I will admit it was last minute. It's fine. Caught up in a bunch of stuff, and that's funny how it was. But I will say, I want to put something on the table, Marty, that we jumped into on the weekend, but we didn't dig further into. And I want to talk to you about the power state of flow. Especially
we got to talk about that.
Especially if it starts in the morning today. John, you're gonna like this. I had a chat with Marty on the weekend, and he was like, Heath, I was at the gym, and I'll let Marty tell the story here quickly, but this is a great story nation to get yourself going today. It's Tuesday morning, you got your day started, it's 9 minutes after the hour. Typically the snooze clocks go 9 minutes. If you're waking up right now, don't hit snooze. Listen to what Marty's going to say next, because you're just going to wake up and start happening, and magic and flow state's going to happen. Marty, share your story about the flow state you ended up in on Saturday. I think it was Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, it was Saturday. Yeah, no, I got on the treadmill, and I've been trying to hit a half a mile in 3 minutes, and I keep getting like 3:20, 3:15, and so I'm on the treadmill running. And one of my friends comes up and asks me a question about, something that was important. So I take my headphones off, I keep running, and I just turn the treadmill up. And I'm talking to her, and I got the 3:10. So I'm almost at 3 minutes. I beat my time, but I didn't even realize it because I was running my mouth while I did it. So I kind of was in flow state. So I was excited. So I sent Keith a voice note after I did it. So
yeah. And it's funny how it just happens, eh, Marty? Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, that's what happened. So, John, where does flow state happen for you when you get into flow state?
First off, I got to say, if I could run my mouth to get into it, I'd never be out of it. Holy shit. I mean, hell. So flow state to me this is where basically, we had conversations about learning to be comfortable in very uncomfortable situations. And that's me. I can get myself into where I know I'm entering because it's like things are getting tight, especially in exercise. You're not breathing well, all of a sudden. Yes. And I refer to it in my first book as a portal. It's like I envision this little window opening up and I dive into it. And once I go through that window, that portal, the other side is filled with feeling good, seeing clearly, relief. And that's kind of my description of flow state.
I like that. John, did you say you wrote a book?
Yeah, I got a couple of them.
That is awesome. Yeah. So
are you going to ask him the question?
Shall I, Marty?
No, I'm playing. Go ahead.
John,
Ask him.
Are you a best-selling author?
Isn't everybody who writes a book a best-selling author? I mean, if you're not, you really did it wrong, correct?
You know, the biggest scam in authorship, man. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile, Johnny, I specifically have not an author, not a TEDx speaker.
Oh man,
there you go.
Because everybody's a best-selling author. And
everybody.
And that's fine. I just like to have fun with it. I love to have fun with the fact that because as we grow old in life, John, it's like, hey, I got some wisdom in my head. I got to write a book. And then I got to tell the word of a best-selling author. And then we all walk into the author's garage, Marty and John. I'm like, oh, what's in the boxes, John? Oh, nothing. Oh, no. Oh, why is that corner ripped open? Oh, there's nothing over there. Hundreds of thousands of pre-bought books so that you can be the number one bestseller on all the platforms around the world. So hey, nation, John Anderson has a book. I would encourage you to check it out. It probably is pretty good, actually. So what's going on there, Silent Soldier? Good to see you here in the lab this morning. I've been sucking at the comments here. I've been looking at the wrong thing here. Enzo is coming back to us. I fell asleep, woke up to you guys laughing last night. Yes, we were laughing. We had a good chat yesterday. We talked yesterday, guys. I'm gonna pivot a chat to our polls yesterday. No, Marty, I'm staying away from the jokes today. We talked yesterday about running towards failure, walking towards failure, and what helps you bounce back from failure. And John, Marty, I ran a poll. And the poll we ran yesterday was what helps you bounce back from failure the most? And the question we asked was support from others, personal reflection, learning new skills, or setting new goals. And John, if I recall, you said reflection. And Marty, I think you said reflection as well. Am I correct? Yeah. I think that was what
slightly two different versions of reflection is what it was.
That's right.
He takes all the good answers first, and I'm kind of forced to deal with what's left behind.
Hey, you gotta get quicker, John. Yes, you're new to the show. You gotta get quicker, man.
He was serving up you he was worried that I was going to be afraid to go first. Is what I was assuming. You know.
Oh, is that what it was?
I was assuming. You know, I got no problems, man. I'm all about exposing myself, taking my pants down, being vulnerable, so that people can understand that that's okay. Because we make mistakes. You know, we all have, you know, there are going to be plenty of times where someone asks you a question and you don't know what to say, but it's okay.
It's true. It's absolutely okay to say you don't know. I'm telling you, nation, as we grow up, we often forget that very simple thing, which you don't know the answer, just say you don't know and go figure it out. People can get a lot of respect for you. So yesterday, what helps you bounce back from the most? It is support from others, personal reflection, learning new skills, setting new goals. And we got 60% response, guys, with setting new goals. So getting back going, oh, you know what? What's going to help me most to reflect upon, hitting my next stage is to set a new goal. That's how people are moving themselves forward. And then the second poll we had, guys, yesterday, which was what's your go-to health food? Because, of course, yesterday's second hour of the show was inviting all of our 20-something friends, because we're all ancient, to the right foods now so that they can age properly. And we talked about greens, berries, fish, nuts, and overwhelmingly 38% came back and said greens, guys, was the preferred choice of those healthy foods. And John, I can tell you, man, all day yesterday was one ingredient food in my head all day yesterday. Right, it was just that whole stuck in my head. One ingredient, and a good hack, nation. If you're looking for food today, one ingredient.
So that's basically saying that you took that monster Reese's cup and you threw it away, correct? Oh, Keith, come on, man. Come on, man. You got to get rid of that thing.
It's sitting on my desk for motivation.
Okay, real quick, a single ingredient actually has a shelf life. Let's get that straight. That thing, we could go in a time machine and go 100 years forward. That thing would still be edible.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that meme a while back with the McDonald's? I think the McDonald's
the car crash.
Oh.
Yeah,
it was the French fries, the McDonald's French fries.
Oh man, Unbelievable.
It didn't rot.
It did not rot. It did not rot. Today's poll, gents, gonna pull off of our conversation with Ashley coming up in a few moments, is which AI application has had the most impact on your work? Has it been AI in marketing, AI for startups, AI for project management, or AI for personal productivity? So those polls are sitting up on LinkedIn, Threads, X, as well as YouTube, I believe. So I'd invite you guys to check that out. And then, of course, we got a poll coming up with our Fit Tip later on this way as well. So Why don't we do this, Jimmy? Why don't we do the accountability check-in, and then we're going to welcome in our guest, Ashley Gross, to talk about AI. So I am going to quickly do something like this. I'm going to go boom, boom. There we go. That's it. That's the camera I'm going to look at right there. Ashley Gross joining us in a couple of moments to talk about AI. But right now, nation, you're getting yourself going. The only accountability show to get your ass out of bed. Don't hit the snooze button. No, start your day with myself, Marty, and John. And today, Ashley. So listen, you can love it or you can hate it. And you're thinking, what? What the hell is he talking about right now? Well, you can embrace AI as the smartest, or you can invest in not learning AI and see you later, alligator. So I'm going to invite you today to invest in AI, invest in yourself in AI. And here's why. You're going to stay ahead of the curve. You're going to expand that skill set and you're going to increase your value. True, absolute story. You know, I've been around long enough to know when we moved from marbles to calculators to Google. And I'm telling you, if I was still stuck using marbles, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today. So I'd invite you to embrace those two letters in the alphabet. AI. No, not Apple Intelligence. Artificial intelligence. It's going to make you smarter. Weave it in, embrace it, and use it. There's a lot of people around you that are probably saying, no, I'm not using it. No, I'm not using it. No, I'm not using it. Now they are. So step up, tune in, listen to what's coming up next for today's accountability check-in. Embrace the tools around you. It's going to improve your productivity, improve your decision-making. And hey, listen, what we're using today is only getting smarter tomorrow. There's your accountability check-in. Jimmy, I made most of it up. All right, gentlemen, I think it's this time. Guys, we're going to bring on our guest. Yay! Ashley Gross is joining us here. Marty, that's a good one, man. There we go. There we go. We got the bell. We got the applause. Ashley, thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me. My heart rate is like spiked. I'm like having an adrenaline increase just from getting hyped up from the beginning of that.
Good energy here.
We saw you sitting there patiently waiting for us and just sitting there going, she's like, John, Marty, she's like, when can I come into this conversation? So,
well, I'm listening to you with your Mark Wahlberg appearances and your like radio show voice. John's famous. Marty's got a shirt on and he's insanely jacked talking about fitness. And I'm like, I don't really know what I'm going to contribute to this conversation, but let's go.
Let's do it.
So I really glad we're recording this again because Marty, Johnny, twice in 2 weeks, man. Marty, what did Lauren tell you last week?
She told me that people at the airport said he looked like Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, what's that? What did you say
again?
I
mean, I disagree, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Ashley?
Stay grounded.
Mark Wahlberg's
be better.
Mark Wahlberg's uncle.
Hey, I read a post there. The guy's getting up
Uncle Wahlberg.
That's it. Yeah. He's getting up at 2 a.m. these days to train John Anderson. Can you believe it? He's the same age as you and I. 2 a.m. he's getting up.
Well, here's the thing. You got to remember is that the brain has activating system, which means that if you want to see something, it's going to see something. So people want to see somebody famous. You are the next best thing. Let's just throw the host under the bus today. Well, we got to be honest here. We're live. We got to call a spade, don't we?
So he's Mark Jr.
I'm actually a little bit younger than him, so I can be Mark Jr. So, but enough of me. We're here to celebrate our guest. Who is Ashley Gross? She's a curiosity-driven AI adventurer. She's a marketing leader at Commerce Tools. She's an ethical. John. She's ethical. Can you believe it? Yeah, we got an ethical AI advocate here. So that's a good thing. We got the founder of the prompt community, and we have a strategic AI expert. Ashley Gross is joining us from, I don't know, Ashley, where are you joining us from today?
North Carolina.
Oh, well, congratulations. I've been down there before.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
That's beautiful.
John, Marty, you been down there before?
Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Good part of the town. Good part of the town.
It's a couple hours from me.
It's just a little bit of a drive, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Ashley, before we get into it, I want to give you the opportunity to get up on the stage here and take a moment to say hi I'm Ashley Gross. Introduce yourself to the nation.
Hi, I'm Ashley Gross. I'm many things. I wear working at an enterprise company called Commerce Tools and rolling out generative AI, to starting my own business, becoming a strategist, and maintaining all of this while still being a mom. So I'm a mom to a toddler, first and foremost, which means basically it doesn't matter what accolades I get in the media or where I'm at. As soon as I leave this room, there's probably a dirty diaper to change or things that need to be done. So very humble, very realistic. Everything that I offer is actionable advice and tutorials, because I don't like to be the person that is in front of the curtain, not showing you any of the tips and tricks. I don't think that that is setting people up for success. So I like to say I build in public. You get to see the behind the scenes version, because if you actually want to go become an entrepreneur or start a business, you need to be set up realistically for what to expect. That's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. Let's beautiful. That is beautiful. Let's dig into it then. John, Marty, Ashley. So, nation, have you ever wondered how top professionals seamlessly blend AI into their daily routines? We're going to chat for the next 20 minutes with Ashley, or so 20 minutes, half an hour, about how you can optimize your life, work remotely, have success, like many of the pros that 18 months ago, whatever, adopted these tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, and so forth. So, Ashley, let's talk about understanding AI's role in modern life, the evolution of it. Where were you when ChatGPT came out? When did the light go on for you, which was, oh, I need to start playing with this, embracing it, learning it? Take us through your journey with AI and why we should pay attention to you as the AI whisperer, why you as an AI expert can help us today.
Okay, so I need to add a disclaimer first. I am not an expert by any means. I don't think that anybody is actually an expert in anything, because if you're really into learning and ongoing development, then it's always something else that you can be learning and absorbing, and you can always be perfecting it. Maybe that's my type A personality, but that's how I feel about that. So I actually discovered generative AI back in 2020, before it was first started. The inception of it has been around for years, but I discovered it in 2020, specifically because that is when I found out I was going to be a mom, and I started ruthlessly prioritizing my schedule, because I wanted to figure out a way to condense 40 hours of work into 15 hours, just with that in mind of not having a lot of time. Like, I knew that was coming up. I really wanted to get my ducks in a row. So I started using a tool called Jarvis AI, which is now called Jasper. And I just started really hacking my time away. So I was going through like email prioritization, figuring out, what tasks were taking the most of my time, streamlining those. So when 2022 came around, still pre-ChatGPT, that's when I was tasked to roll out generative AI to the marketing org. So it still was not the ChatGPT boom. So there was no wireframes, not a lot of accessible and affordable resources on the internet. So it was great, though, because it forced me to take a non-technical perspective, which is my background. It's kind of a scary technology. I knew the climate, because in 2020, there was this attitude of, if you were using AI, you weren't working. So I didn't tell anybody except for internally at my company what I was doing, because I was afraid that people wouldn't think I was working. They didn't understand what prompt engineering was. They just didn't understand a lot of things. And so I was just internally known at Commerce Tools as the AI girl. Like, people either loved me because I was like, hey, you can turn this into this quicker, or they were like, please, dear God, like, not another use case. Like, just let us enjoy our Monday. Don't teach us something, please. And so eventually, though, me talking about this ended up opening up an opportunity, because the CMO was like, hey, you like AI. Would you want to put together like a task force and be our liaison and roll out generative AI use cases? And I was like, absolutely. So all I did was I went to every single department in the marketing org and I said, hey, what do you not like about your jobs? And they gave me a couple things. And I said, great, next time you're doing that task, then I had their workflow. So then I had the problem and the workflow. And then from there, I went and vetted these AI vendors, and I made sure that they were ethical. I made sure we had IT policies in place, usage request forms. And that was the use cases that we rolled out, because I didn't want people to feel like AI had to do their jobs for them. If there were certain tasks that they like doing, I wanted them to do that. I just wanted them to have higher job satisfaction. So that was the approach that I took. We developed over 25 AI use cases, but I think what is more of an indicator of success in my mind is always tying that to revenue in some way. So 3 months after implementing those LLMs, we actually overachieved our pipeline target of 90 million and hit 115 million.
Wow.
That was really the moment, like my mic drop moment, where I was like, this is bananas. But I think that this would benefit entrepreneurs and small business owners a lot more, just because the bigger an organization gets, the more red tape there is, the more silos. It takes longer to innovate and drive impact in a meaningful way. And also, entrepreneurs small for time. So if you want to talk about adding value where it's really needed and helping people that are usually overlooked, like that's where I wanted to focus my attention on. So that's kind of like how this all came together.
How it all came together. Marty, John.
That's, first of all, that's amazing. I'm speechless. So with all of that information, what do you have to say to people that are still pushing back against AI? Because, you know, it's still fairly new, like ChatGPT and some of the other things you mentioned, Jasper. People will be against it. People still stuck in the old ways. What do you have to say to those people?
Yeah, I like to be really transparent and vulnerable. So I don't like the, sentiment of use it or you're going to get left behind. I don't think that fear mongering is a good way to motivate people. So I always try to stay away from those types of conversations and look at, it is scary, right? Like it does change things. You go to school, you learn skills, you get an entry-level job. Just rolling out technology that we haven't necessarily seen in real time before. We're talking about changing the way that people think of themselves and identify themselves, right? You see it all the time, especially on LinkedIn, ex-IBM, ex-Meta. Like they use their experiences to identify them. And so when you throw AI in the mix, they're like, well, what does that mean for my career? Does this change this? What am I doing? So I always like to encourage people. It's not you're either on board or off. It's a spectrum, right? So if you're uncomfortable with it, then maybe the first use case that you use is something fun. Actually, that's what I insist that they do. I like to work their confidence up and intrinsically motivate them. So I would say, why don't you just go into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to create you recipes based off the ingredients that are already in your fridge? Because it takes 30 seconds to input all of that in, get a response, and then you're intrinsically motivated because you see the immediate ROI and it took you 30 seconds, because we do live in an instant gratification world. So they need to see the results fast without it having anything to do with their professional life. And then we kind of work. Next use case takes 60 seconds. Maybe the next use case is teach me how to say a certain phrase in Spanish, right? Because it's just talking to ChatGPT 4 Omni. Again, 60 seconds, they get it back. The light bulb goes off. It took them a couple more minutes or a couple more seconds that they see the result. And then we go up to something that's 90 seconds. And then we kind of walk into the productivity conversation and transition into business. So I look at it as a spectrum with building blocks of use cases, and the amount of time that it takes you from start to finish to get the use case outcome goes up with time, so that they're training themselves to be patient over time to wait for something. And they're also working on their prompt engineering skills without really knowing what that is.
Today, I was during my morning coffee routine, I was reading, and coincidentally enough, in today's Harvard Business Review, an article was published, which I'll share with you all. But Gen AI is coming for remote workers first, and Matt Bean talks about, and some interesting stats actually, team. That's I want to find it here, but Microsoft recent workforce survey, over 31,000 people across 31 countries, shows that as of May, 75% of their employees surveyed are using Gen AI in their daily work, a figure that has nearly doubled since January. And here's what struck me the most. Almost 80% started learning these tools independently.
Wow.
Right? So people are waking up going, okay, I got to go learn this myself. And employers aren't far behind. Gartner's October 2023 survey indicated that 55% of corporations were either piloting or releasing large language projects. The reality is that when we look back to other technologies that disrupted the world, when AI was released, they actually pointed out a lot of it was free. It was instantly available and useful for 2.6 billion people immediately and instantly, right? So it's coming for AI. It's coming for remote workers' jobs. The reality is we need to embrace it, use it. And I think, Ashley, where I want to pivot our conversation to right now is the marketing space. It really has impacted marketing first, Ashley. Talk about how AI has weaved its way into the world of creators, marketing, content creation. You started with Jarvis, so did I, before you were introduced to everything else. But let's talk about how it's absolutely disrupting the marketing space.
Well, here's the thing. So if we look at where the state of marketing is right now, right? So we all were accustomed to Twitter being a specific way and LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok. And now there's like this overlap where it's all video content. There's very common patterns, and even the algorithms are feeding this instant gratification. I would even say like epidemic. I would go so far as to say epidemic, because if you are creating videos on LinkedIn and they're under 90 seconds, they have more value and the algorithms will like it more than if you uploaded a 3-minute video. And this is across the board on all our social channels. So if we look at that instant gratification, it's almost made it completely impossible for every employer to be everywhere all at the same time and be putting content out just like and distributing this in the same way. Like it's impossible to do manually. So if we look at how AI is disrupting that, it's now giving people the option to be everywhere all at the same time, to create automations where they take one form of content and they snip it into a bunch of others so that they can schedule it and post it everywhere. Because if they don't, their competitors will, right? So like puts everyone in this internalized pressure bubble of like, well, they're doing it, so we have to. And it just like continues. And it's like, when does it end? It doesn't. It just continues to evolve. And then also when we talk about like disrupting marketing, there's a huge data problem that I don't hear enough people talking about, where a lot of companies have to rely on third-party data tools, right? 6 Sense, HG Insights, Zoom Info. And the problem with that is these technology stacks continue to evolve, and as you continue to add more tech to your stack, it gets convoluted and it gets expensive. And where it becomes a problem is if you don't actually have data that is clean that you can rely on, then you're spending a ton of money. And by the time your marketing hits your sales, right, it might not even be accurate. So, and a great example of this is if you're using a third-party data system, which pretty much everyone does, if on one of those apps it says, hey, this prospect is ready to negotiate a contract, and then you go call them and they're actually under negotiation with someone else, well, then how much time did you waste creating a marketing campaign to target that account, and how much time did sales waste, right? So it just adds to so many layers of complexities and issues. It's almost like a domino effect where if you don't get your marketing strategy correct and align it with sales right from the get-go, then it just like adds this domino effect of so many issues later that's almost impossible to bounce back from. So how AI is disrupting that is it's actually able to form a strategy and align those departments that it actually measures the metrics that you want to focus on, instead of having marketing metrics and sales metrics and then not knowing how those align and if you're actually converting the high intent traffic that you actually want to, in everyday life.
We're talking how to AI optimize your life and work with Ashley Gross, joining us from North Carolina. John, have you weaved AI into your workflow, into some of the content you create, or with your team, or where has AI fit into your life, John Anderson?
This is beautiful. I was literally just thinking to myself, goodness, I've just traded in my marbles, I'm getting fairly key. I'm good with the calculator. I moved to my fax machine. I'm really pissed that those are gone. Email. I'm still trying to get a hold of that one. You see me trying to get logged into the show this morning. I had to send a smoke signal. You saved my butt. So I actually just recently. Well, I shouldn't say I actually started playing with AI recently, but some of my team members are already doing it, and I guess I'm going to use myself as a classic example for all of you guys out there that may be a little, resistant.
Yeah.
Just take that first step. I mean, I can't even tell you. It's on my phone. I click that button. I ask it, and it's like, at very least, it's going to give you an answer that's going to open up some perspectives that your train of thought did not see, and it's going to help really broaden what you see with whatever it is you're working on. Whether you choose to use the information is up to you, but it's like having 1,000 people in front of you asking a panel a question and getting back the most common answer. It's just like, bam. So for those of you like me, get rid of the marbles, push the fax machine aside. Email can still stay in the mix, but you got to start this AI movement because it's here to stay.
It is here to stay. And if you're jumping in live right now, you're joining us Mornings in the Lab with Keith, Marty, John Anderson, and Ashley Gross. We're talking AI. We are live, so we got questions, comments, come in and join the chat. But Ashley, AI has been extremely disruptive in the world of startups. You're starting a business today, and I know as I've been building the lab here and leaning in with Marty, we are trying to do as much as we can with AI agents instead of humans. And I see you there, Kurt. Good morning, man. Thanks for jumping in and joining. We got another AI expert. Kurt, you want to join the conversation, man? I'll drop you the StreamYard link. We'd love to have you in here as well. But Kurt joins us. He also, works inside of your world, Ashley. But Ashley, we're talking about, startups. And I know when I've been building the lab here, I've been leaning into using agents and AI as much as possible. Talk about how AI is impacting the startup world, from market research to validation, streamlining operations, project management. Like, you can start a business not only super easy today, but you can scale it super fast with AI today. Hey, Ashley, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. So I actually did build my business using AI in 10 days. And It's not an AI product, right? So I'm saying I used AI to build the business in 10 days. And off of that framework and my workflows and tech stack, I built the course. So now it's live right now, actually, in Maven. I'm teaching people how to build a business using AI in 10 days. So in order to answer your question, I'll just kind of take you through what I take everyone else in the course through. So when I was looking at building a business, I'm a third-time business owner. And everybody always says, the first-time business owner focuses on the product. And then like a second and third-time business owner focuses on the distribution. And that's so true. So I think part of it was prior experience of failing and what I learned from those failures, right? And what I learned from the good and the accomplishments. But I also did a ton of research, and I ended up finding out that lots of startups fail to start for three main reasons, right? There's some outliers, but in general, they fail for three reasons. And it's poor product market fit, a bad business plan, or lack of skills and resources. Right? Like, we have all this technology that's supposed to make our lives easier and help us do these things. I think that for me, at least, it's the amount of resources not being available in a concise way that makes sense and relates to me. Okay. So when I was building my business this time, I was like, I'm going to attack business building with the three challenges first. So if I have the three problems, what is the tech solutions for these problems that will literally help me to not fail for one of these three reasons? Because if I'm not failing for one of these three reasons, then I can limit it down to, it's either going to be a me problem, right? Like, I'm afraid, I'm not motivated, maybe I'm not managing my time well, but like the whole point of this was kind of like funnel down the problems until it gets to things that are all in my control. And then we're good and we can hit the ground running. And so what I did was, for idea generation and validation, I started using AI to really just, like, the exact prompt was, here's the skills, that's the bad, right? Go through and evaluate these skills and add on any that I missed as far as hard and soft skills go. And then from there, it was like, okay, here's the things I'm passionate about. 5 days a week, I want to be focusing on networking, public speaking, and creating content. And then I just kept going through this workflow of like, here's the jobs I've done. Here's the skills that I have. Here's what I enjoy doing. Here's what I'm passionate about, until I got an idea. And then I used AI tools to validate that idea, right? So instead of manually going and looking at the market value and the demand for my skill set in that business model, I started using different AI tools to actually measure social media channels and see how many times people were asking questions related to this business idea. And it just kept trickling down. So by the end of this business course and by the end of my workflow, I have a business plan with financials, financial projections, SMART goals, MVP, everything that you need, so that you can literally take that business plan and either go pitch it to VCs, angel investors, your bank, or you can go have need. You literally just have to start, because that's the hardest part for startups, is starting. They just don't know where to start. So if you break these things down into bite-sized modules, though, and you show them AI tools that speed up the workflow so they're not doing it manually, then by the time they get to that 10th day, they're like, whoa, I just created I just did all of that. But I used tools and I broke it down in a relatable way that meant something to me, as opposed to going on the internet and searching financial projections. How do you do this? It's probably going to give you Excel sheets, even though Excel sheets are redundant, right? Like, it's just being able to relate to people and find their why and then get them through to where they want to be. That's what I used AI for.
In my experience, actually, people's biggest challenge with learning or weaving AI into their workflow is slowing down enough to actually embrace it and use it. I remember sitting down with a colleague a number of months ago, and he's like, Keith, teach me how to use AI. I'm like, okay, well, we got to do this. We got to do this. He's like, I got patience for that. I'm like, all right. All right. So, crap in, go and crap out, because I'm hearing you articulate it, right? And using an agent is really about communicating, isn't it, Ashley? Yes. And having the passion and the foresight and the patience to communicate clearly and articulate the next question and the next question. And from my experience with humans, John and Marty, we don't like, once we get past question 2 or 3, we lose patience, and we've got to get right to the end. But to be really effective with AI, Ashley, you got to be really thoughtful, don't you? And really think it through, don't you? And be very clear instead of clever. Talk about that and talk about, encouraging people to be patient. John Anderson, John's going to sit down and go, you know what? I know it's going to work well, but I can just do this myself quicker. Because I know I've been there too. But yet if you slow down, you're like, holy smokes, it's actually not quicker. Do you know what I'm saying, Ash?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to tell people two things first and foremost, because everyone thinks that they're and like when I'm teaching people AI, I like to humble them right off the bat. And I like to say, what was the last new thing that you learned? And you'll be shocked because a lot of people don't have that answer. One, because of the awareness, right? They probably did learn something, but they're not intentionally listening to what they're hearing and actually like putting that in their long-term memory. So one, I'm making them more aware. I'm raising their emotional intelligence. Like I'm setting the foundation up to teach them AI, right? And then I say, listen, curiosity is the backbone of innovation. You want to be curious, right? Everyone's going to say yes. I'm like, okay, that's all innovation is leaning into that curiosity and testing it. Are you ready to test it? Yes. Great. So then I say, hey, do me a favor. For the next 2 days, we're not actually even going to touch AI. I just want you to write down a list of things that you need to get done and then communicate that with your significant other. And people are like, what? I'm like, just do it. And they're like, okay. And then I'm like, now, when you're telling your significant other, just open up your voice memo and record yourself. And they're looking at me like I'm an alien. I'm like, just trust me and do it. So they do it. They get it back. I say, now listen to it. Everybody at this point is mortified because what happens is they humble themselves with their communication. Because to your point, if you're not a good communicator, you're never going to be able to use AI effectively and get good outputs. Crap in, crap out. So when they do that, I'm teaching them chain prompting, right? So I'm like, now go back and re-communicate that to your significant other using something different, right? Like use a different way. You hear yourself, you're cringing because you hear yourself and you're probably barking orders and you sound wild. So now try that again. And what happens is they're like, okay, I need to go get gas. And their partner's like, okay, cool. All right. I need to go to the bank account. Okay, cool. That's chain prompting. That is what you do in an LLM. So then they come back and I'm like, do you understand now what the difference is in your communication styles and what you could improve? Yes. Great. Now you're ready. And then we go into prompt training and like looking at things and I can't take them through anything else.
So let's back it up. Put Marty and John on stage and talk to them about prompt chaining, prompts, and prompt engineering, and talk about that for a few moments, because John and Marty are like, okay, prompt chaining, prompt engineering. There's people tuning in right now hearing you drop those words and they're thinking to themselves, what does Ashley mean by that?
It's just breaking down one entire monologue into steps. So instead of saying, hey, my to-do list today is this call, then I have to go content plan, then I have to hop on a meeting about budget analysis. Instead of saying all of that, right? Because if I said all of that, you guys would be like, are you okay? Like take a breath, chill, like life, because even though I might not be super stressed out, when I communicate in a monologue like that, that is what that conveys. It's rushed, it's intense, it's not smooth, it's not concise. And that's how we want to communicate. And so when I'm prompting, you can say it either way. But when you translate that into LLMs, you're just saying, here's what I want you to do. Do you understand? Great. Here's the next step. Do you understand? Great. Because then if it makes a mistake, you know the workflow of it. You know where it made the mistake instead of it spitting out this huge monologue because you spit in a monologue. And then you're like, I don't know what part of my directions you had a hard time with. But if you're doing chain prompting, you can catch it.
Chain prompting is really just, simply put, Ashley, having a conversation with the agent. Would that be the best way for me to articulate it?
Absolutely. Well, and it's a workflow too. So if you're thinking about, because a lot of other people, I hear a little bit of confusion around like automation versus AI. So I always like to describe chain prompting as you're giving the LLM your workflow, because the idea is it's not going to replace you. You need to be the human in the loop. But if you don't know the workflow, how can you be the human in the workflow correcting it?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. John.
Yes.
Marty, taking all this in?
Oh yeah, no, I'm learning a lot. This is fascinating.
So Ashley, there's the double-edged sword of AI. There's overhyped promises. There's dependence on AI, and the changing of human skill sets. Around the corner we have GPT-4, Omni with voice mode coming. We have ethical privacy dilemmas. Let's lean into the contrarian view of AI and how it's disrupting, enhancing, changing society around us every single day.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I think for me, because I've just been in the trenches of this, my perspective is probably a little more intense than most people. So when I started using AI and I was rolling it out, right, these AI strategist positions, and really it's like very quickly when ChatGPT boomed, right? So like I was using it before, there was no job titles on the market, right? Mm-hmm. And then when I started doing this in 2022 and ChatGPT boomed, there became a lot more AI roles. So my perspective was just looking at the demand for AI-enabled positions and just seeing how we went from nothing to everything. And I don't really think that that's the way we should be looking at this. So this is where I'm getting into my perspective is I don't think it's an all or nothing. And it frustrates me with the news and the media because it's really sensationalist. They're going to talk about and focus on where the money is. So if the money is with OpenAI and these are other large companies, that's what they're going to focus on. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to focus on that. That just means that that's where the money is. So that's where the media is going to be. There's very much other pieces in the AI world that are not spoken about that are equally as important that will be spoken about at some point in time. But because the money into them is not the media focus. And I say all of that because I think that there's two parts of this because there's no guardrails and it's incredibly dangerous. I always like to make the joke, security is not sexy, but someone's got to talk about it. And I like to say there's this user accountability level that you have to have, right? Like I would never go into Marty's gym and be like, all right, I'm here to work out. And like not know what any of the tools were and the equipment was and how to properly squat, right? Like I would never do that because it's negligent. I would also hold Marty responsible for showing me what I need to know in order to use the equipment in the gym. So there's two levels whenever it comes to AI. It's like, what is your accountability? And are you actually ready and understand the pros and cons of using this technology? Because it is your data. It's nothing like light and fluffy, right? Like we're talking about your data that could be at risk. And then it's also the vendor accountability. When I was org, I was grilling these vendors because we're looking at the worst iterations of generative AI that we're ever going to see in our lifetimes. They're not mitigating all the bias they can. They're not mitigating all the hallucinations they can. And that's fine, right? Like that's realistic, but we need to know that so that we can hold our user accountability levels up to the standard and we know where their limitations end and where ours need to begin in order to use this technology safely. So my view is we're in a weird time in history where people are not being held accountable. Vendors are not being held accountable with monetary, penalties for their technology. So it is terrifying. It is a scary time. But also, you shouldn't necessarily use that as a reason to hold yourself back because you will feel that. And just because you're not using AI to come up with these insane technology cases and you're not coding doesn't mean you can't benefit from it. I like to tell people that here's point A and here's where you're at. And then let's look at, point D as your destination and where you want to be. And then AI to get there.
Yeah, Ashley, the media and many of the conversations lean into hallucinations and the danger of AI. When you consider the number of prompts that are happening by the second, by the day, by the week, are hallucinations really as bad as a problem as the media wants to make it out to be?
I think it depends because if you think about it, right, like let's just look at ChatGPT. You said it yourself earlier, like billions of people are using that. Do you think all those billions of people are actually qualified to be using it? No, but their model is interacting and improving based on all that data. So at some point in time, I don't think we're ever not going to have hallucinations just because of the amount of people that are using it and training that data. So do I think it's a huge problem? Yes. But do I think it's an avoidable problem? Absolutely. I teach a 2-hour responsible ethics class for a section, and I actually had to cover hallucinations, and I had to force chat so well and consistent that it doesn't hallucinate like it used to. I actually had to manipulate it to hallucinate. So I think it's avoidable. I think that people want to bypass the foundation, right? Like when I talk to people about what are your rules, like if you open up ChatGPT right now and you went into the memory function and showed me, I bet it would just have random stuff in there and it wouldn't have rules intentionally put in there. That's the first thing that I teach people when we actually start using ChatGPT is here's the 5 rules to put into your memory. to eliminate hallucinations from happening. And I'm not saying they're never going to happen. I'm just saying these are the bulk of the issues that are happening, and here's the rules that are going to prevent them from happening. So it all just comes down to people wanting to bypass the security and the foundation and just see immediate results. And you can't do that until you take the time to understand it.
Having an exceptional conversation right now with Ashley Gross, AI. I'm going to call her an expert, gentlemen, because she knows a little bit more about this than you and I and Marty and all of us here on the show here.
What's a hallucination in ChatGPT?
Great question. So is if I typed in, tell me about Washington, and I didn't specify anything else. I just said, tell me about Washington. And it showed me, maybe it showed me the state of Washington. Maybe it showed me George Washington. But like, I didn't give it specific enough details that now it's hallucinating off of an assumption because of my input. That would be a hallucination.
Got you. Okay.
Wow.
Got you.
Wow. Yeah. I got to for all of you guys out there listening, I represent those of you that this conversation is just like spinning my head around to the point where like so I would have to say this. I mean, she's put so many amazing different perspectives on the table, and some things that probably went right over your head, just like mine. But the thing I think we got to remember here is that she's broken this down in the beginning of this conversation, broke it down in a very simple way to get started. And I think the key to this whole thing for the people that I represent out there, right, that are your head still going like this, just take the first step and give it a crack, because I think you're going to find the value is going to hit you really quick. Like, whoa, I asked this thing, this, and not to mention too, you can talk to it, for God's sake. You know, it can actually, you don't even have to type, which that for me is great. But you ask it a question and just put a little thought in that question. You're going to see the answer is going to give you back, and you're going to go, whoa, this, you know, it might take a little practice, but the bottom line is it's going to give you an upper hand on whatever you're doing, and it's going to enrich your life, whether it's personal, business, all the above. So I would just say, take the first step, because I was that guy. I fought it like a mother. I was like, where's my fax machine? What is this thing? You know, and just take the first step, because we know taking the first step is the most difficult with anything that intimidates us. So just take the first step, give it a try.
Great advice, John. So actually, playing off John's advice, somebody's looking for a tool to start with today. They're tuning in going, okay, I'm listening to John, listening to Ashley. Should I dive into ChatGPT free? Should I pay for the plus? Should I try Claude? Should I roll over to Gemini AI? You know, I know Meta's got everything in Instagram, WhatsApp, some stuff people don't even realize it's there. Ashley, give somebody listening right now for the first time, what are you suggesting? Just try this today. What would you suggest, Ashley?
So my first piece of advice would be to download the Google Chrome extension Toggle. It's TOGGL. Mm-hmm. All it does is time track. So you click it and it starts a timer, and then you stop it when you're done. Because people are spending a lot of time trying to onboard themselves to these tools, and then it's a time suck instead of a time save. So you have to have that user accountability going into this first and foremost. The second thing I would say is never put anything into any LLM that you wouldn't feel comfortable putting into a Google search. That's a good rule of thumb, right? Because like I don't think that you need to understand the history of LLMs and every conceptual part of them to use them correctly. Just use that as a blanket statement. And then the third thing I would say is find a problem. Because again, if you're tracking your time and you're not paying for a tool until you see that ROI, what is the output? Like, what is the outcome of this? What do you want out of this? Find a problem that you need to solve for, because then you know you're already using your time to solve a problem that is already on your to-do list. It's actually productive use of your time. So if I'm trying to, like, if I have my problem solved, then I would say, like, go into ChatGPT, right? Make sure you're using 4. Don't use 3.5. It sucks. I don't know why they haven't gotten rid of it, but just don't use it. And then start that timer, type in your problem, and see how long it takes you to find a solution to that problem. And then stop the timer and see what time it took you, right, to onboard yourself. And if that time didn't equate to a solution, so, you know, if my problem is I need to perform market research on 3 competitors of mine, and manually I know it would take me 45 minutes. If I stop the timer and my timer's 30 minutes, then great, right? I have a great value for my time. I found a tool that solved my problem. Like, we can keep using this tool. But if it didn't equate, it for the move on, like pivot immediately, and don't ever pay for a tool until you try it and see the ROI on it.
What a great piece of advice. Download Toggle Nation, add it to your Chrome extension, try a task out, and see the time you will save. Guaranteed you're going to save time. There's no, and then that extra time you can take and go for a walk, go for a lift, go for a stretch, invest it back into yourself. Right. Yes. So we got Matt Freed sitting in the green room waiting for us. We're talking AI, how to work out and be training at home, in the coming minutes here. But Ashley, wrapping up our chat with you here, what's one piece of advice you would want to make sure that somebody takes out of our conversation today on how they can ultimately increase their product? Toggle aside. Mm-hmm. How can they ultimately increase their productivity with AI?
Okay, so one great use case that I would recommend everyone try is get away from your computers. I understand that we're on a computer right now, so there's a little bit of redundancy in this answer. But have to pay attention to how much time you're spending at a computer, especially if you're a remote worker. Go outside. You can still use AI. So here's my tip. Grab whatever free voice memo you have on your phone. And next time you're outside on a walk with your kids, whatever you're doing, and an idea inevitably comes to you and you're like, oh crap, I forgot to do that. I have a to-do list. I forgot this. I need a reminder. Open up your voice memo, speak it into the voice memo. Then download a free app. So Accio is one, right? But just download any free app that is an audio to text transcription app. Upload the audio into the transcription app. And then put that into ChatGPT and say, write my to-do list. And now you're not attached to your computer. All you're doing is speaking into your phone, and you have a to-do list that AI helped you create. That would be my first and last tip that I give people, because if you do this, then you see the value it brings. You get to stay outside more. You get to do things that you're enjoying more. You get to be free from the computer all the time. And you see the ROI of AI. That's my tip.
That's a great tip. I think, Ashley, I want to lean into what you said here, and even John talked about it. I still think people's apprehension with AI is as much learning how to speak to the machine.
Yes.
Right? Which is, okay, I'm going to speak to this thing and it's going to help me. Right? Because we're just not conditioned to do that, right? So you've mentioned voice memos so many times. And when I started embracing Otter.ai as my AI assistant, then weaving that into my chat GPT and then weaving AI into our stuff here, the amount of data that we create through voice, people just don't think about.
Right.
Right. Absolutely. So, Nation, every single show that we create here, we create a massive library of this. And Marty and Keith can go back and research and pull out conversations we've had months ago, pull themes out, pull keywords out. And when you start thinking about the power of that, Ashley, just through the power of voice and the data we're extracting through conversations, people often overlook that.
Well, and it helps them be creative, because we live in a world now where everything is dictated by the technology, and This is technology's data. It's not creativity. So getting your thoughts in a recording and hearing yourself, it actually does amazing things in your brain, because when you hear yourself again, listening to that voice memo, then your brain's like, oh yeah, you were walking. This was the frame of mind you had. It actually helps you be more creative, so that when you use AI, you're not having AI take your creativity. It's actually enabling you to be more creative, which is ultimately what you want to do.
You know what? When I go for a walk, I open up my Otter agent, Ashley, and I just talk to it like I'm talking to us right now. And then when I'm done, John, Marty, I have this archive of my conversations. And what I like about it is that it's dynamic. It's not static. In the old days, and hear me clearly, in the old days, we would talk to a notepad or to a note, and it would sit in this static place. And you really couldn't access the data within that. So now you're like, okay, I can go create all these notes, weave them all together over a period of time. You have context to it. A lot of value, a lot of power to that through the power of our brain. So listen, we're coming to the top of the hour with Ashley Gross. Ashley, final words from you today. How can Nation find you? How can they get a hold of you? How can they work with you? How do you want to close off our chat today, Ashley Gross?
Yes, you can come find me on LinkedIn. My ethos is accessibility and affordability. So if you send me a DM, I will respond. I don't have any automations on any of my social media. So if you send me a message, it is very much me. And let me know where you're at. I have all of this useful information, and I don't really get to put it in all the different places that I want to. So help me help you. And just start small, iterate mindfully, and just make sure that you have a buddy to do this with, because it is something really big. And if you're doing this alone, pill back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Marty, Johnny, final words for Ashley as well?
Well, I got to say what you just said a second ago kind of like did something in my mind. So again, for those of us who were kind of, semi, head spun by this whole conversation, you said, let AI, basically, it's going to embrace, it'll actually help your creativity. Because I don't think that people think that, boy, I have an idea, I have a thought, and I want to make it bigger and better. I think people are thinking I'm going to grab some information that may not be mine, but in actuality, you're talking about taking something that's in you and having this tool make it bigger and better. And to me, it kind of flipped the way I looked at it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, everybody has great thoughts, but the problem is our first thoughts that come to our mind are usually not that great. But instead of having somebody to bounce those ideas off, great, we usually just let that idea die, and then it doesn't have time to evolve and actually come to life, right? So that's all you're doing is you're getting the thunking out and you're turning into actual thinking.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Marty.
Yeah. First of all, thank you. I learned so much. And what was that app called? You said Accio. How do you spell that?
I spell it, it's spelled AIKO.
Ashley spells it a different way. I spell it.
I asked that because I know a lot of times, like when I'm, doing my cardio, I get my best ideas, so I can just talk instead of trying to write it in my notepad.
Yeah,
so that'll probably help me a lot. Yeah.
I also like to use it for my public speaking though too. That's an underrated use case because I talk on a lot of stages and sometimes I get stage fright. So just reiterate, practicing my talk and having ChatGPT open to listen to me, because it pointed out to me when I start speeding up, it means I'm uncomfortable, which means I probably didn't focus on those parts of the speech enough. And me being biased, I'm like, oh no, I have the whole thing memorized. I'm good to go. But when I open it and I just start talking to it, then it reiterates back to me. And it's here's the specific parts that you started speeding up at. Maybe go revisit those.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I need that.
I love that you lean into that, and that's I want this to come out the right way, but that is absolutely a generational thing. And I'm not trying to age myself, but I love that you lean into it because you're like, yeah, I got to go speak on stage. I'm going to go talk to the robot, and the robot's like, Ashley, you're nervous. No, I'm not, robot. I'm not nervous at all. I'm actually pretty good, right? And there's a lot of people that are like, huh? She's talking to the robot? Yeah. And I bring that up actually because voice mode is going to change the world when it comes out, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
And I'll tell you something, Ashley, we're going to invite you back because, and I haven't told Johnny yet because John's new to the show, but Keith and Marty are weaving voice mode into the show. So we're going to set the iPad up here. Camera's going to be on the screen so it can see us, and we're going to weave it into the conversation. So Omni is going to be the other host along with Keith, Marty, and John. We're going to make Omni part of the show is the plan.
I love this.
That's the plan.
Amazing. Cool. Congratulations.
When that happens, Ashley, we got to invite you back. So I'll tell you right now, publicly on the show, when Omni's announced and it's released, and Ashley, I'm always, flicking my refresh on my app store to see if I get it right. I'm like, oh, I got the mode, but it's been delayed. But when it does come, we're going to weave it into the show, and we're going to have the world's first. We're not only the world's first accountability show to wake up to the morning, but we're going to have the world's first AI agent as part of our morning show.
Perfect. I can't wait.
Yeah. Ashley, thanks for jumping in today. Was it as good today for you as it was for us? We had a lot of fun with you here today.
Yeah, I don't even need to watch my motivational movie or music. I'm just I'm good to go. I'm still amped.
Awesome. So I'm gonna ask you something. No, Marty, what should Ashley do for us?
Like the video, share the video, and subscribe or follow us.
There you go. 100%.
Do that. My heart, you got me there for a second. My heart dropped. I thought he was going to say crunches. I'm like, listen, I'm not your target market. I can do that though.
Come on. Yeah, you could be a fit mom. Nothing wrong with that.
Ashley, we were out with Marty. He was in Winnipeg last week, and Marty's been known to just be walking through somewhere, just drop and do push-ups. So we were walking.
That's not true.
We were walking into the gym last week, and we're walking in, and all of a sudden, Marty's in front of us, just dropping on the ground doing push-ups. Like, oh, there he goes, man. He's got to get.
You asked me to do push-ups, man. Come on, man.
I did. Ash, thanks for joining us today. You know what I like to say always: once a guest of the lab, now always a friend of the lab. Please come back, hang out with us, visit us, bring your coffee, come join the conversation. If there is AI news, if there's something you want to bring up to the table and announce, come knock on my door, John's door, Marty's door, and say, hey guys, you got a few minutes? Come on into the lab, come have a conversation with us. We're always looking for great conversation.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
Awesome. There goes Ashley. She's off the stage. Thanks, Jimmy, for getting her off both those stages. We got Matthew Freed joining us in a couple of moments. Matt, we're going to walk you in here in a second. To jump into the world of AI later today?
Say that again?
Are you guys both ready to jump into the world of AI later today? I'm thinking John's just ready to rock and roll here. Actually, no, John's running to the bathroom here in a second here. So,
you know what I did is I actually have altered what normally I get up, I drink 1.5 liters of water out of bed.
Yes.
I bumped it to 1 liter to see if it would give me just a little bit more ability to not almost pee my pants on the way to the toilet.
Awesome. There you go. There we go. Solid advice from John Anderson here at 6 minutes after our second hour here, Mornings in the Lab. Matthew Freed coming up here in a few moments. We're going to talk with Matt about 6 tips to stay fit and motivated while working from home. So, Marty, Ashley just spent the last half an hour with us talking about getting time back into your world so that you can actually take care of yourself remotely and get that physical fitness into your life. Marty, what was the one thing you took out of our chat with Ashley today?
Well, she first of all, she brought up the ACO and the Jasper app, so I didn't get a chance to ask her what Jasper is, so I definitely want to check that out. But basically, kind of like what John said, just taking a step and getting comfortable and actually communicating. I know when I use ChatGPT, I'll have it's like a thread, like a text thread.
Yes.
And, I might ask a question and it'll bring something up. And sometimes it's not specifically what you want. So she basically let me know that I need to communicate with it more, ask it more questions. And now that I'm thinking that it's like a thread, I can definitely do that and implement that into my use of ChatGPT.
If there's advice I can give both you gentlemen is truly treat it like a human. So John, when you're going to sit down and chat with it, like really, or pretend you're talking with a lawyer, right? I use that as specifically because I think when we as humans sit down with our lawyers, we think, okay, I'm spending a lot of money with this human being. I got to be clear. I got to be exactly right because the guy's costing me $1,000 an hour. I got to effectively. It's the same thing with ChatGPT, right? Just take the time, and I know in my time, I want it to happen faster. But I love Ashley's advice, which was start Toggle. Because you think it's going slowly, but it's actually going much quicker by just slowing down to go faster, right? So speak clearly, have a conversation just like you are with me or your lawyer, and you're going to find the magic coming out of that. So I'm
inspired for sure to give it another push. That show gave me it pushed that button in me that said, hey, you got to take a bigger first step, dude. This first step that you're doing, you're not proud of this first step, are you? No.
Well, you know what? No, let's call it, especially for guys of our generation, right? There are folks that are in, we're talking to people, Marty and John, in our show here that are maybe 45, 48, 50, maybe go through a career transition. Maybe they're waking up going, you know what? I'm thinking about doing something else in my life. But I hear all this AI stuff and I don't know what to do with it, don't know how to do it. I'm scared of it. What you're hearing from us today is don't be. What you're hearing from us today is like yesterday's message, right? Walk towards the failure. Embrace it. Try it.
Yeah. And this fits perfectly into that because obviously it's new, it's unknown. Is it going to work? All of these things are great questions, but the bottom line is when you take that step forward, you are going to have some failures, which is going to lead to your success. It's that simple.
100%. All right, gents, let's pivot our chat to the next conversation today, which is we're going to bring this guy on the stage here. Jimmy, I got the vertical, man. You take the horizontal. We're going to bring Matt up on stage. There's Matt Freed joining us here today.
Keith, Marty, Chris, and John. What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's going on?
Good. What's up, Matt?
That was awesome. You guys can hear me okay? Audio is good?
Can hear you loud and clear, yeah. So Matt Freed has been on the show before with myself and Marty, and today's the first introduction to John Anderson and Matt Freed. Matt joins us from New York City. Matt's personal trainer, health expert, helps people get in shape and helps people, move forward in life. And I thought today would be a great chance for me to kind of quietly step back, make myself a little small on the screen, and put 3 awesome fitness experts to talk about the biggest challenge to staying fit and motivated while working from home, and then throw some ideas on the stage for you guys listening right now to stay fit, to stay motivated, to get your ass out of bed and to get going. But before we do that, guys, there's a poll running today. What's the biggest challenge you guys think that people articulate to stay motivated working from home? Is it finding workout time? Is it staying disciplined, limited space and equipment, or avoiding distractions? John, first to you. What do you think is the biggest challenge, at least in talking to your clients and talking to people? What's humans' biggest challenge?
Well, I think discipline, but I think the avoiding distractions, those two are almost one, because one into the next. If you can avoid your distractions, your discipline becomes much stronger. If you're focused on the right things, your discipline gets much stronger. So I'm going to have to kind of take those two and hybrid them together.
Yeah. What about you, Marty? What's in talking to your customers? What comes back to you most? I don't have time. I don't have the discipline. What's the biggest challenge do you think?
It's been time for me, which is actually hard to believe, working from home. And so I kind of got to, dig into schedules and try to cut out time for my clients. So that's probably been the biggest challenge for my clients that do remote work. Yeah.
And then we have Matt Freed. Matt's a vitality expert. He's been working with students for 2 decades, actually. Health transformation coach. He's worked with men and women over the ages of 40. He's got a proven roadmap for youthfulness, and he's a health span extension advocate. He does not talk about gimmicks or fads. He talks about pure tried principles to move your life forward. So Matt, what's the biggest challenge that people come to you with when it comes to finding that that excuse? Is it workout time, discipline, space, equipment, distractions? Why are people not taking care of themselves when they're working from home remotely? Matt Freed.
Yeah, great question. Great points from John and Chris. And thanks for having me back. And thanks for that awesome intro, Keith. So I think building on what those guys said, because distractions are huge, I think right up there with distractions would probably be mindset, right? Like, you have to start, if you want to change your physical body, you have to start to change on the inside too. So that's probably to me, a little more than half the equation is just making working out and staying fit, even if you're working from home, a non-negotiable thing. If you can start with that, then things will start to flow from there.
Johnny, Marty, take on that.
Oh man, I cannot agree more. I mean, the outside of us is a direct correlation to the inside. It kind of goes back to habits. There's so many different things that we can turn to here. But the bottom line is when we have our mental state, ironed out, so to speak, and it's a daily thing. It's not like you click a button and it's good. You have to manage this daily. But when you learn to manage the mental aspect of this journey, the physical aspect kind of falls into place. And the best part is the physical aspect will feed the mental aspect. So it's like this circuit that goes round and round, and the more you do it, the better it gets. So I cannot agree more, brother.
We are talking about 6 tips here today. So one of the ones we want to put on the table, first of all, to give our nation, some tangible nuggets to walk away from, Matt, Marty, John, is set a schedule. If you're working from home, set a schedule. And from my opinion, and from the lab's opinion, you start it with the non-negotiable of your morning exercise. Matt Freed, comment on the power of a schedule and the power of morning exercise.
Yeah, a schedule is great. I mean, like, I love to work out early in the morning, but that doesn't really matter when you do it. It just matters that you do it, right? So there are some days that I've got meetings like this one early in the morning, so maybe I'll push my workout to later, right? But having a schedule is a great place to start. I would totally agree with that, right? Yeah.
John, you told me a couple days ago that you said to me that your noon the day before, I found this fascinating, Marty. Check this out. You said to me that the noon of the day before is when you set your mind schedule for the next day, because when you get up the next morning, you don't want to make the wrong or the easy decision, was the word you used, because it's easier to be tired and lazy the morning that the decision is going to take place. So let me reframe that. So today, Marty, John's going to say by noon today what he's doing tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%.
Did I explain that properly, John?
Yeah, it's basically comes down to it, and everybody's formula for this little methodology is going to be different. For me, I find myself, okay, I want to make the right decision, not the easy decision. And if I find myself making decisions when I'm tired, At the end of the day, early in the morning, I find that little voice in my head is always leaning towards the easy one. And now I'm in sort of a battle as to where if I ask myself the questions when I'm sharp, when I'm feeling good, I'll make the right decision, because I can look at both sides of the equation and go, okay, how do you really feel? Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sore. You know what? Tomorrow, maybe you need to back up a little bit on your training, or whatever decisions I need to make are made when I'm confident I can make the right decision, not the easy decision.
You gotta take away the resistance too, right? So it's like, one thing I always tell people is go to sleep in your gym clothes, right? So that way, when you wake up in the morning, it's simple, but that's what I do. And even though I have a gym in my garage, literally, like sometimes when I get out of bed in the morning, you know, it's like, oh, you know, you have that resistance. So the less resistance, the better.
Oh,
you know?
Brother, I love this, because I'm a big connoisseur on wake up to some easy wins. You know, I put water in my bathrooms. I get up, I take a leak, as we talk about a lot of the show, right away. And I go right for my, used to be 1.5 liters. Now it's a liter. So I can make it through the show, or try to anyway. You know, my clothes are laid out, but I love this one because you wake up into your first win. You're already dressed to go to the gym. And every time, you know, we have an easy win, it makes us want another one. And so I love this. For those of you, the little caveat I'd say to that, put your alarm, put your phone in another room or somewhere where you have to get out of bed, get on your feet to turn it off. So you're not snoozing, you're up, and you get up, and in that 10 feet as you walk to your phone, you realize, holy smokes, I'm already dressed to work out. Easy win done. This is beautiful. I love this, brother. Although I used to get in trouble for this when I was a kid. I used to go to sleep in my school clothes because I wanted that win. And my mom used to wake me up, pull over the car. You did it again. Made me change my clothes and took my win away. I was always so bothered.
We're talking 6 tips to stay fit and motivated while working from home. Matt Freed, you mentioned it. You said you have a garage at home you train in. Talk about the idea of a dedicated workspace, separating work, personal space, fitness space. Not everybody has it, but how do you coach your customers, especially in, you know, places like New York City where you're not the most square space available? How do you encourage or coach somebody to dedicate that separate space at home to take care of themselves?
Great question, Keith. So what I would say is let's go with the extreme example where someone has no space, right? They live in a 1-bedroom apartment in Manhattan, like I used to, and there's, you know, it's maybe 500 square feet or something, right? So no gym at all. You don't need a gym. If there's no gym, you really still have no problem. And there are no excuses is what I would say, because you can do calisthenics. You can you can use a backpack full of books. You can use water bottles, jugs of water. You know, you can go outside, weather pending. You know, you can go in your hallway. If you're really living in a box, you know, apartment, you can go in your hallway and you sprint in the hallway. Like, so there's always a way, right? And we're talking about tips to stay fit and motivated while working from home. And I also want to build on this point by saying that it doesn't mean, you know, for the listener who's just getting started, maybe who's not in great shape at all, maybe hasn't been to the gym in years, they don't have to go to the gym for an hour to get started. They can do 5 push-ups. That's a great start, you know, so we can make the wins, like John was saying, very small wins at the beginning, you know.
Love this. Yes.
John talked about Marty, when he travels, he finds stairwells to go up and down.
Yep.
You know, and Marty, you've talked with me about when you travel, you're always looking for spaces just to get something done, right? Either in a hotel room or the power of the push-up, like you said, right? And I was joking with you earlier where you've just been known, if you're training with a client, to drop down and do some push-ups. But you think about it, right? If you drop down 3 times in the day and do 5 or 10 push-ups, I know it sounds goofy, but you know, you start stacking those over time. Hey, Matthew? Like, oh my God, you did 10 push-ups a day over a year. You've done thousands of push-ups.
That's the thing, is that we're talking about motivation also. So action precedes motivation. So it's not the case that you can just sit around lying on a couch, waiting for motivation to strike like lightning. You have to do something, even if that's just 1 air squat, you know, and there's always a way. The other thing is, if someone's listening and they can't even do a push-up, that's okay. There's always a way to modify it to your level, right?
Yes.
So the key is to get started. That's the key. As John was saying in the previous segment about AI.
This is it for these are just gems. I'm telling you, this is good stuff. Just literally, you don't need a gym. And he's saying little activity, it changes your physiology, which makes you want to do more. It creates that motivation. Motion creates motivation. This is amazing stuff for you guys listening that want to take, that are ready to take the first step. This is what you need to be listening to right here.
So, Jens, I'll share with you the challenge that I have, because I'm thinking that there might be people listening that may share this challenge, but we don't talk about it. So, when I go to the gym, I like to go to the gym, and what I mean by that is put my gear on, put my shoes on, put the mindset on. And I know my gym's on the other side of this floor here, but I struggle. Like Matt, I in a hotel room, like I struggle doing push-ups just outside of the bed, or getting down and doing a stretch, or doing burpees, because to me, John, Marty, I don't feel like I'm like going to the gym, and I don't feel like I'm mentally, appreciating that moment. Coach me to learn how to create the awareness of that moment, that it's like, oh, it's okay, Keith, if you just do the stairs in the hotel, Keith. It's just okay if you did some push-ups. It's just okay to do burpees. And what I'm getting at, gentlemen, is I don't feel like I get that workout high, or that runner's high, or that training high when I'm just doing it in this dirty space with my clothes over there and my couch over there and the TV over there, and I'm squeezing myself into 2 square feet. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, totally. I mean, what I would say is that that's a little bit of a myth that you have there, Keith, that in your head, that it's like a story that you have to rewrite, right? You can get a great, like yesterday, I didn't lift any weights, but I did a 15-minute 2 rounds of just calisthenics, dips, push-ups, squats, some dead hangs. And so that's a fantastic workout, especially if you make it happen quickly and you're not really resting a lot. Then you're getting a strength. You can get, what I'm trying to say is, you can get very, very strong with no equipment at all. Right.
Yes.
I mean, I've got bodybuilding programs from coaches that I've worked with in the past that will get you very, very strong, and you never need to touch a weight at all. So, that's a bit of a myth. So you don't need a gym to get very strong.
Well, I bring that up, Matt, because I know it's a myth, but I believe there's many like myself that get hung up on that.
Right.
And it's just this idea of, it's just get movement in. Right. And I have to actually mentally stop myself sometimes. It's okay, Keith, just to go do 30 minutes of yoga right now. You're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do the big bench. It's not International Bench Day on Monday today, right? Or it's okay to focus on pigeon or calisthenics for half an hour. But I know often I work myself up, Matt, where I'm like, I'm not getting my big lift in today. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not working out. But
I understand. That's because you love lifting. Like the 4 of us probably love lifting. Go ahead, Chris. You wanted to chime in? Go ahead, man.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's sometimes it's about just keeping the train going, right?
Yes.
Right.
So like I had a client who came to the gym late today, right? She couldn't get the full workout in, so we did 2 sets or 3 sets instead of 4 sets or 5 sets today, right? So sometimes you just got to keep it going and keep the momentum. And for myself, usually when I travel, I like to stay at an Airbnb with like a balcony area. And I'll do some calisthenics. Yeah. I'll bring my jump rope. I'll bring a resistance band. That's not my normal workout.
Right.
But, I can still check that box. And I might just put 45 minutes in and try to get as many rounds in as possible. But I still got it done. I still got my 5 days in this week, or 6 days in, or however many days I want to do that week. So don't get caught up on doing the exact same workout every time and not feeling like you didn't complete the checklist if you didn't get that in.
Great.
That's what I want to say.
Totally.
Yes. And to go further on that, brother, is that, we train like Keith, you said, I like to go to the gym. It feels good. Yeah. So I think if we really distill this, boil it down, strip it away, we're really looking for a feeling. Chase that feeling in the hotel room. Say, that's what I go to the stairwell. I'm like, okay, I take the elevator to the bottom floor. And I start walking. I usually walk at a brisk pace, and all I'm doing is I'm looking for that brain dump. I'm gonna get uncomfortable enough. I'm gonna have enough pain. I'm gonna have a hard time breathing. My brain's gonna the dude needs some help. Let's start dumping off the good chemicals to him. Bam! All of a sudden, I feel better. I feel good. My day is ready to go. And was it a leg workout with squats and leg extensions and deadlifts? No, but I walked up a stairwell. I whooped my own ass. I got myself in the mental space I need to be. And just like Marty said, the train keeps rolling forward.
Train keeps rolling forward. Yeah. Matty.
Yeah. I mean, and there's also, we keep talking about the stairs. I want to mention the concept of sneaking in extra work also, which is, I credit my coach, Zach Evanesh, who always talks about that. And so, when you're commuting in New York City, run up the stairs. Don't take the escalator in Grand Central. When you're working from home and you've got a day packed with meetings, you can always do something in between those meetings, or you can take your phone call while you're walking, right? So all of this, we're talking a lot about in the gym, which is great, but there's a lot you can do when you're not in that gym hour that really will move the needle on your total calories burned for the day. They call it, and sometimes that's called NEAT, non-exercise activity-induced thermogenesis. Fancy word for saying all the movement that you're doing when you're not in the gym. And if you do a lot of that really moves the needle.
Yes. I gotta add some stuff to that. I got some bones to pick with some of my clients in the past. So one, people like to get these fake handicap stickers, or like they'll drive like their family member's car and get like the fake handicap sticker and park close. I'm like, no, you need to be parking as far as possible and trying to burn as many calories as possible. That's one. And then I have clients, they come to the gym and they do their meetings and they don't have to say anything. They can be on mute with the camera off. I'm like, well, you should be moving every day on a meeting. If you don't have to contribute, some people have jobs like that. Everybody's different. Everybody's career is different. But those are just two small hacks right there to burn some more calories throughout your day. So I totally agree with that, Matt.
Me and you are the only ones. Well, maybe not just me and you, but me and you and a few others are the ones who park in the far corner of the parking lot on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Do it every time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Yep.
Keith parks close.
Yeah, because I'm carrying my Reese's peanut butter cup.
Oh man.
God.
No,
No, but actually, get that thing out of here.
Hey, I'm the relatable one for Nation here. I got all my athlete friends. I'm carrying the business hat for everybody without the belly though, Nation. But I'm glad we're talking about this because we are presented as humans with these moments of awareness as we go through our day, right? Stairs, escalator, close parking stall, far parking stall. Sit on the couch to watch TV. Sit on the floor and do a pigeon and watch TV. Nation, we're always faced with these decisions. And as Matt said, as you go throughout your day, these little tweaks to your decisions throughout the day all can add up, right? So as you approach the stairs in the elevator, take the stairs. As you approach the parking lot, park a little further away. And I know, and it's funny because John talks about making the decisions when we're tired. Think about this, right? I'm going to Costco tomorrow. Think today that you're going to park far away.
Bam.
Because if you drive there tomorrow when you're tired, you're going to park close.
Yep.
It's so much more stressful to try to find a close parking spot and deal with that anyway. So just it's easier, lower your stress level there.
I see people like they'll wait 5 minutes for a parking spot, a close parking spot, when it's like you could have been in the store or the gym or the mall or wherever if you just walked. You could have been in there already. So, man, I could go talk about this all day.
You're waking up with Keith, Marty, John, and Matthew. We are talking about tips to stay fit and motivated while working from home. We started our show today talking with Ashley Gross around how AI will save you time. And Ashley's like, yeah, go download the Toggle app on your computer, go save yourself 30 minutes. And then Matt weaves in and says, okay, Keith, there's 30 minutes free to you now. You can go take care of yourself. So what we're talking about is set a routine, set a schedule. We're talking about get that morning exercise in to start your day. Separate the work from a personal space. Find some space in your house or your garage or your condo where you can go do a push-up or go do a burpee. Personalize it. And then, as Matt said, incorporate movement throughout the day. Get up. Go for a walk. Go for walking meetings. Having exercise breaks. I'm going to go around the table as we wrap up the conversation today, gentlemen. John, what's the go-to exercise that you recommend for yourself or your clients as they're going throughout their day for a quick energy boost during the day?
Oh, that's such a great question. And there's a couple of them. The reason I say there's a couple of them is because it's got to fit into what you're doing.
Yes.
I mean, you can literally stand up at your desk and you could still be doing something if you needed to and wrap off some bodyweight squats. Or, maybe you're on break and you've got all your limbs available. I mean, it might be difficult in a suit, but 10 burpees will change your physiology. period. End of story. Now, obviously, you don't want to rip out the butt of your pants. So that's, but even some push-ups. So I would say squats, push-up, burpees, these right here are real easy, but the simplest one, and I love Matt made this whole thing so simple for people. Great job, brother. Just a brisk walk. I mean, shit. You can take a brisk walk up and down the hallway at the office. You could do it in your own home. It doesn't matter. As long as you get that blood pumping, I mean, it's simple. Motion is what creates motivation.
Love that. Love that. Matt Freed, what's your go-to exercise you offer up your clients or that you take throughout your day? You talked just use some calisthenics. What's one recommendation you'd give Business Athlete Nation today, Matt Freed?
Yeah, I agree with John. I mean, for me personally, it's calisthenics. I love push-ups and pull-ups and squats. I love them. But that's also what I love, which is so important for you, the listener, to do what it is that you love. So if you're not, that's maybe more important than anything we've said, so that you'll stick to it. But so if you're not into some of the things that we've mentioned, I would agree. If you are stuck working from home or stuck in an office all day, it is very important to get outside in nature and take a walk. Especially if you're a beginner who, let's just say you can't do a push-up or a burpee, get outside and get a brisk walk in. I would say I would go there first. Yeah.
Yes.
Marty, where do you come at with this, my friend?
I say push-ups for sure. I'm big on burpees like John, and if you could get a flight of steps and just walk up and down, you can scroll your phone, you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to music, you can listen to the morning show, whatever you decide to do. I think steps are great, man, and even when I'm at my peak VO2 max, peak cardio, the steps still get me tired. So you can't go wrong with the steps.
You've heard all the options, Nation, but I think Matt Freed lined it up the best. You got to find something you enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And as long as you find something you enjoy doing, just start checking off the box every single day. Just do it. And you'll start stacking up the wins, whether it's push-ups, whether it's going for a walk, stretching. And I'll speak for myself and my friend John there because Johnny, our friends Matt and Marty, a little bit younger than us. The power of stretching, Nation. As you're aging, I'm telling you, the power of stretching, mobility, agility. If you want to go tobogganing with your kids when you're 70, 75, or go trekking up the mountain with your kids when you're 70, 75, I cannot encourage you enough. Or, John, as simple as putting your socks on. I started focusing on yoga 4 or 5 years ago. Matt and Marty, I was telling you this, Marty, a couple weeks ago. I just focused on doing some yoga and pigeon and lizard and so forth. Man, the enjoyment of putting my socks on or tying my shoes, game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know
that's a great test. Can you put your socks on without sitting on the floor, just by picking your foot up, while standing on one foot? Like that's a good test of flexibility.
That's
good. A good test.
That's good.
And
that's
I know we laugh about it because it seems so duh, but it's not as we age. And people often say to me, Keith, what should I do as I age? I'm like, I said to my dad, can you crawl? The power of crawling, right? If you can crawl as a 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old, think about that, right? So when we're little babies, we crawl. If you can keep crawling as you're 60, 70, 80, you're going to keep going up that mountain with your grandchildren. But you got to start now when you're 20, 30, 40. Get up out of your chair, go for a walk, and go for a stretch, right? So Matt Friedman, I've told you this before. You were a guest to the lab. You're a friend. You're back for appearance number 2. You met our new co-host here, John Anderson. Before we say goodbye, what's been going on in Matt Fried's world since we met with last, pal? What's been going on with you?
Well, again, thanks for having me again, guys. This is so much fun. Can't appreciate it. I mean, the new thing I have is I do have a free community for men who are in their 40s and 50s. And if they're looking to get in better shape, there's a link in my LinkedIn profile, my Instagram profile. They can see all that. So that's what's new for me. That's exciting. So I wanted to just find a way to help people, add more value. So that's just something I started a few days ago. And already I've got a bunch of guys in there and they're doing well. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Go find Matt Freed on LinkedIn. If you're a 40-year-old male, 50-year-old male, go hang out with Matt. He'll help you out and get yourself moving forward in life. Matt, what do you got planned for the rest of the day, pal?
Well, let's see. Got to get to work and, help people feel better. That's it. I'm good to go. I already checked that mental box of working out this morning. So now I'm ready to just hack at the computer a bit. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Matt Freed, thanks for jumping into the lab today, my friend. I appreciate you. I always appreciate you. We'll see you in the feeds, and we'll get you back again. Okay, pal?
Awesome, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Matt.
Take care. All right, Matt Freed's gone for the day. We're coming up with the C Marty Fit Tip here in a moment. Jimmy, Marty, get yourself ready there. What a great conversation. You know, it's funny, you know, guys, because when we plan these things, I will admit that I sometimes think, John, Marty, that it's cliche. It's not so much about cliche as it is creating the awareness, isn't it? Right, somebody listening right now, driving into a parking lot, Marty, or walking into work with us in their ears, and they're looking at the stairs, and they're looking at the elevator, and we're saying, no, just take the stairs right now. I know it's obvious, but just take the stairs, because if you do that over and over and over and over and over, you might live a year longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so easy. All you've got to do is just kind of change how you move through your life.
Yes.
And just by making it goes back to is it the easy decision or the right decision? If you can really coach yourself into making the right decisions, especially in the front part of your day, it's easy because you're up, you're moving, and that right decision will feed to the next one and the next one and the next one.
I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys right now and tell you, John, that I was thinking about you this morning, that I found myself making a tired decision this morning, and I'm regretful of it, because I didn't make it yesterday. So I've been thinking about what you've taught me in the last 24 to 48 hours. So I got up this morning. I had a different plan for my gym session this morning, but I got to bed a little later than I would have liked last night. So I was tired. And you know what, guys? When I reflect upon it, I made the decision that I wish I would have made yesterday, because I would have done something differently this morning. You know what I mean? Like so when you said to me that I make my decision the day before for what's going to happen because I don't want to make a tired decision, that's a powerful statement for me. Because I think many of us make tired decisions because they're easier.
Yes, 100%. When we're tired, we always look for the easiest way.
Absolutely.
Our brains are designed for that.
Yes. All right, let's do this. Let's pull me off stage, Marty. Go.
Let's get it. Let's do it. All right, we got the fitness tip for the day. Be your own source of motivation. All right. The key to achieving your fitness goals is you. Here's why. Relying on others for motivation is risky. They may not always be here. And I tell my clients this all the time. When I go on vacation, that's not your vacation. You still need to work out. So don't just rely on me, right? We're doing this for you. You're not doing this for the trainer. Your goals are personal. Only you truly understand them. Accountability starts with you. To stay on track, have clear, achievable goals. That's big. Let small wins fuel your progress. Create a routine that fits your life. Remember why you started. Keep that reason front and center. Your fitness journey is unique. Own it, stay consistent, and trust the process. That's the fitness tip for today.
That's it. There's your fit tip of the day with C Marty Fit. We drop every single day here. Content and conversation to help you get started and get your day moving. Gentlemen, we're wrapping up second round of the show here with Marty, Bilous, and Anderson here. Day number 2, July 23rd on Tuesday. Another great conversation today, guys, with both Ashley Gross and Matt Freed. Good time.
100%.
Good stuff,
100%.
man.
Good time.
Good stuff.
So as we wrap up today, Nation, you're tuning in. I invite you to like the channel, subscribe to the channel, off some comments. Go follow C Marty Fit on Instagram. Go find him on LinkedIn. Go find John Anderson on Instagram. You're looking for some coaching, looking for some advice, fitness advice, go knock on John's door, Marty's door. Looking for some business advice or advice on not how to crack into a Reese's peanut butter cup, come knock on my door. So
put that thing away, man. Put that thing away.
Just throw it out, man.
It's actually going to be it's going to be the prop on the show here forever. But I will tell you, so I had one of these a couple of years, and it was sitting in the drawer here for a couple of years, and it actually became John, to your point about chemicals, it just became this pack of powder, like the peanut butter, everything inside of it just turned into this yeah. Nothing.
Brother, if that thing is going to stay on the show, it better stay unopened. You hear me?
Yeah.
I have an immense sense of guilt that I cannot open this thing. So yes, trust me, because I'm sure that one day, Anderson, you're going to be here in this lab. I was very aware that when Marty came into the lab last week, John, that it had to be sealed and everything. So
I had a baby, Marty. Keep him
straight. I already
Keep
checked. I checked it.
Keep him straight. That's it.
Yep.
All right, Nation, we're going to get out of here for the day. I hope you guys have an awesome one. I got to go for a pee, John Anderson. I'm sure you got to go for as well.
I'm starting to. I can see it right here, baby.
Yeah, we're gonna get Marty.
All three of us go at the same time.
We're all gonna rush out of here, and we're gonna see you guys tomorrow morning back in the lab for a Wednesday show. I got to quickly pull it up here. We got tomorrow in the lab. I think we have Brian Clayton. Brian Clayton, entrepreneur discussion tomorrow, guys. Brian, John, Marty, he took $20, a lawnmower, and turned it into a $25 million business.
Oh, that's going to be a great show.
Tomorrow, Brian Clayton talking entrepreneurship. And do you really want to be an entrepreneur? We'll dig into it tomorrow. Tomorrow, mornings in the lab, myself, see Marty Fitz. There's this. I got to bring some sound effects in. So we're going to get out of here. See you guys tomorrow.